At the end of the game, Santi Cazorla pushed down his bright yellow socks, hitched up the right leg of his shorts and took off his plain black boots, leaving them on the pitch at the picturesque little Stade Saint-Michel in Canet-en-Roussillon, southeast France. He still refuses to hang them up. The equalizer came so late that it never went up on the scoreboard among the trees on the bank behind one goal, but although that said 1-0, the visitors hadn't been beaten and nor has he. The former Arsenal midfielder has not made a competitive appearance since the 19th of October 2016, but at last there is optimism that he will. After almost 2 years, 10 operations and a warning that walking round the garden might be all he could aspire to, Cazorla is now playing again and he took another step on Wednesday. He departed Arsenal in May, Arsene Wenger having described his injury as the worst I've ever seen, and replying, "I hope you're wrong," when it was suggested the Spaniard might never play again. But Cazorla has now made 3 pre-season appearances in 9 days for the La Liga side Villarreal, where he previously played, and they intend to sign him. "I'll never be able to repay Villarreal everything they've done," he said. "There is still discomfort in the right heel, the stiffness of inactivity making muscles tight too, but it is overwhelmed by playing, at least during the game itself." Last week, Cazorla admitted playing even 20 minutes at a reasonable level was unthinkable. The night he said so, 636 days after his last appearance against Ludogorets in the Champions League, he had played half an hour against Hercules, an appropriately named opponent for his return. "It was very special to feel like a footballer again," he said, and coming back had been some task. His Achilles tendon reconstructed, 8 centimeters of it eaten by infection, part of his forearm grafted onto his ankle. "It's not a big injury," Wenger said when he withdrew Cazorla for the last time, but the problems multiplied and months passed, until his Arsenal career ended. The fear existed that his entire career might have done. He continues to fight that, and while this tiny provincial place is barely a 500th the size of the Emirates, being here meant a lot. Cazorla spent much of last season living and working alone in Salamanca. At 33, released by Arsenal, he trained with Alaves' youth team before Villarreal called. He joined pre-season in Girona, and there is caution, of course, but sessions are completed daily, and there is a game almost every 3 or 4 days before the league begins next month. Hercules was the first game, on the 17th of July. 3 days later, he was sent on in the 47th minute against Marseille. Here, there were another 30 minutes on a patchy, slightly uneven pitch near Perpignan, the team bus pulling up behind a temporary stand on one side at the home of French third-tier side Canet-en-Roussillon. On the other, a small main stand. At one end, fans gather among the trees on the bank. At the other, pink and white rhododendrons run along a wall. A dozen or so people gathered behind the goal. A small tractor-turned-forklift truck is parked up in the corner. A big, imposing fence runs around the pitch, like something out of the 1980s, which looks both a little out of place in this setting and not entirely necessary either. In total, maybe 400 people come. There's a dog too, brown and standing behind the bench where Cazorla begins the evening, giggling his way through the pitch inspection. Not good, in truth, dry, uneven and sandy brown in places, and the pre-match kickabout before taking his seat. It's evening but it's hot. Advertising boards announce local companies. A small bar sells chips and wine. At kickoff, a couple of fans shout Montpellier, and that is about it until there is a gasp of breath and applause for a wonderful touch. Not from Cazorla, but Montpellier's Isaac Mbenza, who also makes the opening goal. Cazorla is still on the bench, but at halftime there he is on the pitch, giggling again. At times it is hard to reconcile his relentless happiness, that smile, with how hard it has been. The brutal reality. The analyst comes over and slots the chip and transmitter into the vest he's wearing, his every move tracked, and a few minutes later, he joins 5 others warming up. After 59 minutes, they are introduced. Cazorla doesn't run on. He is playing on the near side, high up on the left, although of no fixed position. His first pass is along diagonal, towards the tractor and the feet of Nicolas Sanson. His next accelerates everything, the pass turned sharply inside to Samu Castillejo, and Tent suddenly imposed on the move. Very Cazorla. Might not always move especially fast, but at times the ball doesn't, so do the feet. Both of them, of course. 25 times he gets the ball, at a rough tally. He loses it 3 times, the pass is a little long. And speaking of losing it, when the Montpellier number 9, Giovanni Sio, needlessly hits him hard too, there's a flash of anger, the hint of a flick of the foot. When it happens again, Sio's steaming in again, a confrontation begins. Castillejo piles in, the first to leap to Cazorla's defense. Others follow. From the 2 benches, words are exchanged. Only the man hit stands aside, watching it silently by the touchline. The Montpellier coach, Michel de Zakarian, holds out an apologetic hand, and also withdraws Sio. Cazorla looks a bit bemused and momentarily looks at his ankle, but he is fine, so he continues. Another evening, more encouragement. Cautious optimism. Carry on like this, and, one member of staff says from the back of the stand. A clever pass gives Carl Toko Ekambi a chance, one-on-one, which he puts wide. A shot is blocked on the edge of the area and a volley flies over. Then, get this, Cazorla wins a header, which he is still laughing about later. There's a tackle, too. And a foul, a fairly cynical one, in truth, tripping his opponent as he seeks to go round him on the outside. Time is running out, but the equaliser arrives. It would be quite a stretch to say that Cazorla starts it. His pass is simple, sideways and deep near the halfway line, while 4 more follow before the cross is headed in by Ekambi, but not long ago it would have been a stretch to have even been out there, so it's something. It all is. At the whistle, Cazorla pulls off his boots, slowly heading towards the tunnel before joining his teammates in a circle on the grass. His captain comes to bump fists. There's a word from the manger, another burst of laughter. When they stand and make their way, Cazorla stops to pose for photographs with the ball girls, 12 or 13-year-olds who play for Canet-en-Roussillon. He gives one his shirt, number 12. Then he signs autographs through the fence. Just doing things footballers do.